Here we go. Rudy Rochman went to an encampment, a pro-Palestine encampment, and it was one Jew versus an entire encampment. Check it out.
We're here at GW University in Washington, D.C., and there's some encampments that are protesting against Israel. They were taught that the only way to be pro the Palestinian people is by being against Israel. So let's have some conversations and discussions and see what they truly have to say. Yalla, let's go. I'm wearing a talit and a Magen David.
That's a fake kofia, brother.
This is a talit.
What is that?
You know, just because you don't know about Jewish culture doesn't mean you have to say it's your culture. I'm not attacking you. You shouldn't be attacking me. You willing to have a conversation?
Things with people like you.
What is people like me? Jews that are strong, that are proud of who they are?
I'm a Jew. I'm proud of mine.
Yeah? Are you for the right for Jews to be able to live in the land of Israel?
Absolutely not.
I'm not talking about the way the state is structured. I'm saying the right for Jews to be able to live in the land. The first thing you said is absolutely not. So how are you going to claim that you're a strong Jew, proud of who you are?
Because Judaism is a religion. We did not spawn from Israel. My genetic ancestry.
You literally did. You're literally from Judea. This is oh my God, this is a pro-Palestine Jew. This is chickens for KFC and cows for McDonald's embodied. Like worse than queers for Palestine. I think Jews for Palestine are up there, at least with them, probably even worse.
Comes from Poland and Russia. It does not come from.
Actually, if you check your DNA, it's Ashkenazi DNA is Jewish Middle Eastern DNA found in Europe, right?
I mean,
and you're saying
that's not what 23andMe said.
that if you look into the description, European Jewish DNA means Middle Eastern DNA that's found in Europe, which is why the Cohen DNA, you know what a Cohen is, of course, right? Poland, in Zimbabwe, and Yemen all descend from one male ancestor, because it's not an ideology that crossed over borders. It's an ancient civilization that was smashed and forced out. And you said that Judaism is a religion. If you don't believe in Hashem and the Torah, you're still a Jew, correct? Right? If you don't believe in Jesus, you're not a Christian. If you don't believe in Muhammad, you're not a Muslim, because a religion is just a belief system in one thing that anyone can become if they accept it. And Judaism is a portable suitcase of an ancient civilization.
So, just because we all came from Africa doesn't mean that we all have right to claim over the land of Africa.
Right, but that argument you wouldn't give to a Maori in New Zealand or an Aboriginal Australia, saying that because we descend from Africa or back here in the ocean, you wouldn't discredit people's connection to a land.
But we moved. We
were kicked out.
thousands of years ago.
We were kicked out, and there was always a people there, and they should have a right.
Palestinian Jews.
What does that even mean?
A Palestinian Jew is a Jewish person that
Who identifies as a Palestinian Jew? Not one person.
Thousands and thousands of Palestinians that practice Judaism.
Which one? That doesn't exist.
Do Christians and Muslims have claim to that land as well?
No, because it's a collective that has a right to land, not a religion. And I'm making the argument that Judaism is not a religion. Right?
Then what is it?
It's an identity of an ancient civilization. A religion, in any religion, it's defined as a belief system in a God, deity, book, or a prophet. So if a Christian doesn't believe in Jesus, they're no longer a Christian. A Muslim rejects the Quran, they're no longer a Muslim. A Buddhist doesn't identify with philosophy as Buddha, they're not a Buddhist. So it's an ideology that crosses over borders. You can have an Argentinian Christian, Nigerian Christian, Chinese Christian. They're not the same peoples. They just believe in the same belief system.
So I'm
right?
an American Jew.
Right, but you're a Jew because you descend from an ancient line of a civilization.
I am a Jew because I believe in Adonai as God.
Do you believe in God?
Of course.
And would
I
you
believe in Adonai as God.
Right, but if a Jew doesn't believe in Hashem or in Adonai, would they still be a Jew?
Ethnically?
Right,
yes,
so it's more than a religion,
ethnically,
right?
I am Polish.
No, ethnically you're not. Actually, while we were living displaced in Poland, you were always treated as someone that's not white and constantly killed. But what we see right now is a lot of people using Palestinian struggles, which I care deeply about, and using that to use it as ammunition against Israel. And saying the first thing you sold to me is that Jews don't come from that land.
Who is making the Palestinian struggle?
You can say Palestinians are making the Israeli struggle as well. I have people that I know that died from Palestinian hands.
Palestinians are making the Palestinian struggle. They voted in Hamas. They committed October 7th. You get what you paid for. I mean, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. They effed around. They're finding out now. And listen, this is their game. They start a war, they cry. So they start a war, they lose, they cry, they start a war. That's the whole thing. That's the Palestinian 101 strategy against Israel.
I'm not going to blame all Palestinians for that.
There's not an Israeli genocide going on, though. Systematic eradication of an entire people.
So how come the population has grown more than 8x?
It is a terrorist attack. one terrorist attack is not an attempt at a genocide.
Right, so we have
An
to look at the
attempt to
intention.
round up all Palestinians
I'm not
into
raising my
Rafah.
voice with you, by the way,
I'm sorry.
for sure.
An attempt to round up all Palestinians into Rafah, say that it is a safe zone, and then invade Rafah is an attempt at a genocide.
Do you think that they want to invade Rafah just because there's Palestinians and they want to hurt them, or because there's still Hamas there and might be still hostages there? Do you think if Hamas gave back the hostages and put their weapons back, that they would want to kill Palestinians? The genocide has to do with the intention. For me, one Palestinian dead is one Palestinian dead too much. Why is there the IDF wanting to go into Rafah? Because they believe they need to take out Hamas, which is legitimate after what Hamas has done. And they want to rescue their hostages, which is also legitimate. That's the intention. Now, the fact that we're in war, there's going to be deaths on both sides, which is why I do everything to prevent us being in war, because that's what war looks like. But the intention is what makes it a genocide. Every single time Palestinians have died has always been in the battle fire when Israel's shooting back at Hamas. Never Israel targeting Palestinians to kill Palestinians. And if that does exist, I condemn it. But that's not the situation.
Don't platform, don't talk.
We're not platforming, we're having a legitimate conversation. Okay, so you're insulting.
We're not here for that.
Okay. No, but you're here to have conversations about how to move forward in the future.
It's a circle.
It's not a circle because first of all, he's a brother of mine as a Jew, and he has a right to speak to another Jew. And these conversations are the only way that we can actually move forward, because there's no future without Jews or Palestinians in that land. So instead of speaking to all the other Westerners, which won't do anything in the land, it's the people who actually live there who can make a difference. I live in Israel.
This is where I totally disagree with Rudy. He has this idea that Jews and Palestinians should live in Israel, and I just don't agree with that. I think that this idea of a two-state solution is a fantasy. I think that it has been tried in Gaza. It has been tried in the West Bank, Judea, Samaria. It doesn't work out. You have so many radicals in those societies that it just doesn't seem to ever work. They always try something. They're constantly making Israelis' lives hell, whether it be with rockets, whether it be with actual attacks on a daily basis.
I live in Jerusalem. So I actually have the ability to influence people on that land, so you guys should be wanting to have conversations instead of speaking to everyone else and demonizing my people.
There is no future for Palestinians as long as there is a Jewish-Israeli state
Do you think
that occupies that land.
Do you think there could be a way that we both experience this country as ours, Israelis and Palestinians, without the removal of either and with the acceptance of both? That could potentially exist, right?
And Israelistine necessitates
a way that I call it Israel and they call it Palestine, like Burma and Myanmar, right? There's two names for a country that happens sometimes in history. And I should be able to see a Palestinian considering it Palestine and not feeling it takes away from me, and a Palestinian seeing me considering it Israel, which historically was always called Israel, and not feeling that takes away from them. We're currently positioned as if we're opposed to one another, but we don't have to be, is my point.
right. All we're saying is that the current Israeli regime has been an apartheid regime for its entire existence.
So can you
And
explain to me how it's an apartheid? Because I just want to...
Because there are two systems.
Okay.
One for Israelis who benefit from all of the economic benefits, they get to participate in democracy, they get to vote, they get to live in lands unoccupied. It is, by definition, an apartheid regime.
An apartheid system is a system where you have one government, one country with different rights for different peoples. That's what existed in South Africa because of their color of their skin.
In Israel.
In Israel, all Israelis, including 20% of its Arab/Palestinian population, have full equal rights. Then in the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, it's a separate piece of land under separate autonomy of the Palestinian Authority. And obviously those who are living there don't have rights into Israel, and those who are living in Israel don't have rights into there. Gaza is a separate territory under separate authority, which is Hamas. And obviously people that are living in Gaza don't have rights into Israel, and people in Israel don't have rights into Gaza. For me, I would like to see this one land being united for all. So it doesn't mean it's currently just the system that we have, but it's actually the opposite of an apartheid, because an apartheid would say it's one land and different rights for different peoples. Right now we're talking about 3 separate territories with different jurisdictions with different populations. I can't go into Area A of the Palestinian Authority. I can't go into Gaza. So you're saying it's apartheid against me just because they can't go over here? Now I think we should all be able to access the entire land.
The West Bank should be sovereign and all of the settlements in the West Bank should be rescinded.
What I'm saying is that from the river to the sea, Jews and Palestinians should be free on this land. And me living in Judea and Samaria, the West Bank, shouldn't be a problem the same way a Palestinian that is living here and wants to come back should be able to live wherever they want. So the idea of Jews being able to live in the West Bank is not a settlement, right? It's a Jew living there. If we're making the argument that we want Palestinians to live from the river to the sea, we should be making the same argument with the same energy that a Jew should be able to live from the river to the sea. And the fact that a Palestinian under the Palestinian Authority can't go into Israel, which for me is wrong, or a Palestinian living in Gaza can't go into the rest of the land, which to me is wrong. It's just as wrong as I can't go into there. So there's a separation depending on the jurisdiction you fall under different territory, different government, not one land, one government with different rights for different peoples. So it doesn't mean that what you're criticizing is just, it's unjust, and we need to talk about it. But when we use terms like apartheid, it's actually preventing us from understanding the complexities of what's going on and preventing us from correcting it. And that's my point. And also, when you speak to most Jews, I'm sure as a Jew, you've spoken to many Jews, the moment they hear apartheid, they shut off to you. Whereas if you were specific about Palestinians go through checkpoints, they don't have equal access to resources, they have to have an IDF soldier that controls them, that they feel fearful of because they have no representation towards that soldier. If you were specific about the problems that Palestinians actually go through, then Jews and Israelis would be like, wow, yeah, I can see how that affects people, I could see how that's wrong. But the moment you use apartheid, genocide, ethnic cleansing, colonization, settlements, which in reality is what the West did to the world, and what we see right now is the far left feels so guilty for the crimes of their ancestors that they're using Jews and Israel as a scapegoat to push those ideas like they've always done throughout history. The far right blames the Jews for being the left. The far left blames the Jews for being the right. The capitalist blames us for communism. The communist blames us for capitalism. The white supremacists were enemy number one. The black supremacists, the Farrakhan's, were enemy number one.
All right, this idea that he brings up that checkpoints are a problem or, somehow, tie into apartheid, I think is very misguided. If people commit terrorism, they have to get checked. If a massive percentage of the terrorism is done by the Arab Palestinian population, they have to get checked. You think Israel wants to do this? Probably not. Probably the Israeli soldier who is 18, grew up, had to be an Israeli soldier. Probably he doesn't want to check through every single car or bus or whatever going from the West Bank, Judea, Samaria into Israel. But the fact of the matter is he has to because of the massive threat that Israel faces every single day. And him misrepresenting it and saying that that's a problem and we should talk about it is just wrong, because until the Palestinians show that they're not interested in killing Israelis or Jews, then the problem is going to stay. And it's not our fault, it's theirs.
Literally seeing as the source of problem for all.
The fact that there's a known IOF terrorist soldier on our campus right now. I don't think liberation looks like a f***ing IOF soldier on our campus. Free Palestine!
The irony here is that he is being so conciliatory. He is saying, I want a two-state solution. I think the Arabs have a right to live in Israel and all this other stuff. And then they're like, free Palestine, only Palestinians should live in Israel, and we want 48 and no two states and all this like crazy talk.
Palestinian, you're my cousin. There's no future without you in the land.
What was the reaction of the crowd, if you had to describe it in your own words?
So I'm not surprised at the reaction of the crowd, because a lot of these protests are not coming from a place of light. They're coming from a place of rage, hatred, pain, which is legitimate, right? There's a lot of people that are suffering, and I also understand why many Israelis turn against Palestinians, because many of their family members were...
Oh, give me a break. None of these people are suffering. These people live in the West. They want to go to a protest. They want a social justice movement, and they picked Palestine, or they picked, Gaza, whatever you want to call it. But they don't really give a shit about these Palestinians dying in Gaza. The biggest proof of that is they don't want them to leave. They don't want the Palestinians to get out of Gaza because they want the movement to continue.
Killed as well. And so we're actually in a loop of constant violence and pain that just projects more and more violence. And so I came there, I was engaging with a few people respectfully, letting them know that a lot of the things that they would think I don't agree with, I actually agree with.
Then what happened?
They recognize me because I have a large social media platform. They know that I'm Israeli, and because I'm Israeli, automatically that triggered emotions within them, and they started to see me as the person that's the source of all the pain that they're experiencing, and thus the crowd turned on me, put all their focus on me, started accusing me of all sorts of horrible slander and things that I'm not responsible for. This didn't intimidate me. I looked at them right in the face, stood there for 20 minutes. I understand where they're coming from. I'm not looking at them as my enemies or with disgust or with hatred, but I feel bad that they're in this situation, and I hope that enough of us in this generation can put in the work to make sure that we don't continue in this way. And there were two Palestinians, they were older and more mature, who came up to me and said, I would genuinely like to have a conversation with you.
He's gonna come with us, okay?
No problem. All right.
Come on.
Salam alaikum. If a lot of us engaged more, we'd realize we agree on much more than we think.
Yes.
There is no future without Israelis or Palestinians in the land. And our future is going to be one that's together. I understand that for you, the right of return is important just as it is for me. And there's no way that we can live in this land without fulfilling both of our aspirations. So if these students actually understood what I represented, they'd realize that I agree with much more and fight more for achieving what they claim to be trying to achieve.
Like, okay, you said there is so many Israeli has been killed.
Are you against Israelis being killed?
Let me say, no, I'm not.
You're not against Israelis
No, I'm
being
not.
killed?
I'll tell you why.
Innocent
I'll tell you
civilians.
why.
Innocent
Isn't
civilians.
it-
Well, I'm against Palestinian civilians being killed.
Let's assume Israel is your land. If somebody came to Israel
I think it's our land.
and start fighting you, have no right to defend yourself?
I think it's our land. There's a difference between
That's what
someone
you
fighting.
Think. You think is our, you see,
Some,
When is he going to get fed up with all this bullshit? I mean, they literally said, "We want you dead." They told him, "Hopefully Allah will end you." And he's continuing with this peacenik talk.
land, so why are you coming here?
I'm not even, I think it's our land, meaning
Who's our?
me and you. When I say
Okay.
our, I'm including you.
Okay,
This is the
well,
land that my
okay,
ancestors
so
come
we have
from and
that-
that your
we have-
ancestors
we
come
have
from
been
as well.
with
You might be used to speaking to people that are from Israel that are
Okay.
against that, and I'm not against that. So the final goal of what we both like to see, we probably agree. If more of us started to engage with one another, humanize one another, the same way I can condemn the murder of Palestinians if there's someone who's an innocent Palestinian and someone goes and murders that person, I publicly and openly am against that. And I'd hope that you'd be able to make a separation. If Hamas goes into the homes of people and kills them and rapes them and does horrible things for which I know people have gone through that,
you know
you
it's
should,
a
you
lie.
should,
Is
no,
there
it's,
is
I,
no
no,
such a rape?
I saw it with
There
my
is
own
no
eyes.
such a rape.
Listen,
From
I'm not going to minimize your struggle. You shouldn't minimize mine. It actually happened what happened on October 7th. I got out of the army 10 years ago, right? I served in the army when I was 18 years old as
Okay.
every Israeli. And I was called back for reserves out of nowhere, taken out of my life, taken out of the work that I do to actually unite
Okay.
Israelis and Palestinians. And on October 7th, I was in Kfar Aza, and I saw what Hamas did. I saw babies killed. I saw people raped. I saw people's bodies on the floor after they raped them and killed them and beheaded them. I saw these things that were happening
You did.
to the Israeli people. So it's not a lie.
Show us so we could believe it.
There's,
Show
there,
us.
there's plenty of
Show us.
footage. There's plenty of
Show-
footage.
show
Even
us.
Hamas released the footage about this
Okay.
stuff. There's a
Release
four.
full
There's a four.
footage.
There's a
Show
43.
us.
There's a four. Okay,
Show
look.
us. Okay,
I
I'm
will.
gonna publish
I
it
will.
for you.
I will. And understand that
Because I know it doesn't
just,
exist.
just me showing you this
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it is in competition with Palestinian suffering. Doesn't mean it's trying to minimize Palestinian suffering.
Okay.
In no way when I'm telling you that I'm suffering am I trying to shadow over the fact that you suffer.
Okay,
right?
let's assume Hamas really done this.
Yes.
In October
They
7th.
really did though.
Let's assume. Let's
Okay.
assume. I'm gonna just like give you the benefit of the doubt.
Would you be against it if they did, in your opinion?
No, I would not.
You wouldn't be against the rape of
because
innocent
my,
people. Come
my
on.
mom and dad, my
Come
mom
on.
and dad has to leave Palestine. My
Do
mom
you
and
think
dad
it's gonna
has
help?
leave-
Look at what
my
it
mom
what
and
it
dad-
look what
mom
it
and
led to.
dad- So you've been doing this to me for
I have not done anything
You've
to you.
been doing this
I
to
was
me
I was
for
born
70
I was born in 1993. I have
years.
nothing to
You're
do.
people.
You wouldn't say that every action of a Palestinian represents all Palestinians.
Abu Mazen
so
doesn't
so why
represent
does Abu
me.
Mazen not represent
Because
you?
he's a piece of shit.
Okay,
I'm
so
bad.
this is my point. If Abu Mazen does something to me, you're going to say that's not me, that's Abu Mazen. So don't say that it's me.
yeah.
Just because there's leaders that are wrong doesn't mean that all the people are responsible for those leaders. Only way we can move forward in this
Yeah.
land is if enough of us that are not a part of the governments, I'm not a part of the governments,
Okay.
are able to see each other as cousins that we are
Okay.
able to hear one another, understand our suffering, and together link arms to change the reality. If
You
keep-
really want to do that?
Yes, I really do.
You really do?
I really do.
Can
For
I go back
Palestinians,
to home?
I want that.
Can I?
It doesn't exist yet. But the only way we can make it exist is if enough of us start engaging each other. And you're seeing me as your enemy when I'm actually your cousin.
I'm talking to you. Did I
No.
leave the protest to come talk to him?
Of course, you're being
Yeah, I
respectful.
came
But
here.
I'm saying that if you're okay with civilians being killed, when It could have been someone who supports the same ideas that we support.
We don't
Right?
accept civilians to be killed.
But
We
you were
don't
saying you
accept
did.
No.
So now you're taking it back?
No, it's not taking it back. What I'm saying is there is no such a thing.
You have Instagram?
Huh?
Do you have Instagram?
I do.
Okay, so my Instagram, just so you have it on camera,
Okay.
is Rudy_Israel. Israel's
Okay.
my Hebrew name.
Okay.
Okay, so you send me a message,
I will.
and I will send you footage of it happening. And I'm also
Okay.
telling you, as a cousin who you can hear,
Okay.
I'm not against you, that I saw this with my own eyes of what happened, and I don't blame you for what Hamas did.
Okay, Rudy, we spoke 4 years ago, and we had a wonderful conversation. I felt like we had a breakthrough during the conversation. I want to ask you something.
Sure.
Do you still believe Zionism is an ethical thing?
It depends what we define as Zionism, because words mean different things
Okay.
for different people.
So-
Define me what you mean as Zionism, and I'll define it.
Zionism is the establishment of an exclusive homeland for Jewish people in the land between the river and the sea, Lebanon to the Red Sea. Okay.
That's not Zionism to me.
All right,
Zion-
that's Zionism.
Zionism to me is the right for the Jewish people to return and to self-determine, and that doesn't mean that Palestinians are excluded. So you said exclusive. I don't believe in the exclusive element of what you
All
just
right.
talked about.
You should not come from outside, impose new things, mostly European values, which doesn't belong to the population that stayed there for 15,000 years continuously, and put in new,
Palestine was there 15,000 years ago. What is this guy on?
traditions, new customs, everything.
In the land when Israel was reestablished, it's not like it was your people that were in control before. It was the British, before the British, the Ottomans. Hold up, let me respond.
yeah.
So it's not like there was something and then it was replaced. What happened was the removal of the British. We also had a lot of Jews who've always stayed in the land. It wasn't just the Palestinians.
Yes.
When I hear Palestinian, I hear my family, right? But many Jews, when they hear that they're enemy. When you hear Zionist, you usually hear your enemy. Now that you know what I'm saying, you understand that many of us don't mean it as your
Yeah.
enemy.
Not you, Zionists. They disrupted. Zionism cannot be ethical.
But that's not
Cannot be ethical.
Zionism. That's not Zionism.
Really?
If you look at a bad Palestinian, which there are good and bad people everywhere, right? Let's take a very
What is he trying to say? Zionism can't be ethical. He means Israel needs to go. That's what he's trying to like. I don't understand what this whole argument is about. Zionism can't be he's just saying that Israel as a state is a problem.
bad Palestinian like Abu Mazen. You would say, that's not Palestinians, that's Abu Mazen. So you can't just separate whenever it fits your agenda. You have to understand that Palestinians is a wide identity, and there are Palestinians that are good, there are Palestinians that are bad. And being a Jew, an Israeli, or Zionist is a wide identity, and that there are individuals that are bad and individuals that are good. And if you take a bad thing that we would probably agree with, and you say this is Zionism, it doesn't allow the conversation to continue, right? The point of why I'm bringing that up is that there's been a lot of violence between our people, and I think I told you this 4 years ago when we spoke, that I think the source of where we got it wrong when we started seeing each other and experiencing each other as enemies was the British. Because wherever the British were, whether it's between India, Pakistan, in Afghanistan, in Nigeria, in the British Mandate of Palestine, they convinced the local peoples to fight each other in order to maintain control. And they convinced the Jewish side that all the Arabs and Palestinians wanted to kill us, which there are some, but not all of them, and definitely not majority of them. And they convinced the Palestinian Arab side that the idea of Zionism was an extension of European colonialism. And we got played, and unfortunately we fought a war in 1948, an all-out war, one versus the other,
But Rudy,
and we're living still with the consequences of that.
Okay, I can't even continue with this clip. I mean, he is so misguided. I love the fact that he triggers them so hard, but they are telling him that they want him dead and his people dead, and he is like, well, actually, maybe we can agree on this one little point. And I think he's missing the broader point of they want to kill you. They're not interested in peace. For more, we're the Palestinian, name me this. Where's the Palestinian Peace Organization? There's a Jewish Voices for Peace. There's a multiple Jewish organizations fighting for the Palestinians. Doesn't happen the other way. Why doesn't it happen the other way? Probably because they are very interested in the destruction of the Jews. And again, I am not angry at those types of people. I think that that's their opinion. That's what they want. And they're very open about it. I'm just saying we have to not let that happen, and being very open about the fact that we also are not interested in having them on our land. People that want to kill us shouldn't have a right to anything, and definitely not have a right to live in the land of Israel. For more, subscribe to the channel. If you want to help us make more of these videos, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JewishUncensored. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.